Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's our second Res J, Racial Equity, Social Justice Committee. Feels good to be back together. We are hoping, oh, there's Lily. Hi. I will call this meeting to order. Bruce is with us. He's via mobile, so we will ultimately be alternating. He's on the phone right now, and I think he'll be logging into his computer shortly.
We have Veronica and Amal in the wrong, they're attendees and they need to be in the panelist. Garrett, can you invite them so they can be in the right?
Sure, I'll make them panelists.
Oh, great. I'm glad we're clearing that up.
Okay, Amal.
Oh, okay. I see how to do that. Okay.
Yeah, just see, I just did it. Oh, well.
See it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, that everybody? All right, that's everyone.
Okay, so should we take roll call first?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm taking roll call. Please let me know if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Alexandra?
Here.
Amal?
You're muted, Amal.
Yeah.
She waved.
Okay.
That's okay for the.
Okay, as
roll
long as I
call.
see them and okay.
For this, yeah.
Daria, I see Daria. Here. Okay, Griselda. Okay, Lily.
Here.
Liesel. Liesel. Okay. Patrice. Not here. Serena.
Here.
Sophia Martin.
Here.
Sophia Mottershead. Not here. Tayu.
Here.
Veronica.
Here.
And Ziana. Bruce and Stephanie. Okay, we are all here except two.
Great. Thank you. Welcome. Our second Res J meeting. So I'm really excited to be here. And before we get started and dive into the agenda, we do have a full agenda. I thought it was important to acknowledge the really disgusting event that took place, I don't know, a week or so ago, the swastika stickers, the 19-year-old young man from Livermore who was placing stickers downtown, and really wanted to applaud Noah Mohan for confronting hate face to face and standing up for our community. And what I wrote in a statement to the IJ is, this is a disgusting event, and it's one in a string of terror that Marin has seen recently. Anti-Semitic specifically, but obviously there's been a host of terrorism against our communities of color. And I'm really proud of, like I said, how he confronted this young man, because I'm sure it was pretty scary. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity as I learn more and do this work, that there's a lot of opportunity to teach kids in our schools about the Holocaust and about anti-Semitism, because there's so much minimization happening online of the Holocaust and anti-Jewish rhetoric and so forth. And so what I hope is we obviously have the subcommittee predetermined for the police practices, but and we'll be discussing what other subcommittees that form. But from the input that we've already gathered, it sounds to me like there's some interest in community engagement and community education, and clearly there's a lot of opportunity in our community for this. So I just wanted to thank Noah again and acknowledge him. And for those of you that were at council last night, Mayor Renee Goddard, as of last evening, Bruce Ackerman is our mayor. But when she read the statement, she was mayor. She read a really, really wonderful statement on behalf of the town that I think encapsulates what we stand for in this community. So I recommend you taking a look at that when you have time. So with that, let's dive in. And I think I've already called to order, but if I haven't, I'll do that again. The meeting is officially called to order. We've done the roll call. And so I think, Lisa, we can open it up to, we can transition to you.
Wonderful. Do we have minutes to review?
No.
Okay. Do we want to approve the agenda formally?
Sure.
Okay.
Someone
make a motion to
want to
approve.
make a motion to do that?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay. Do we need a roll call for that?
Yes.
So Anne, can you roll call for agenda approval, please?
Okay, this is Alexandria.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just need a yes or no for approval. Okay. Amal,
Yes.
Daria,
Aye.
Griselda,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Cecil,
Yes.
Serena,
Yes.
Sophia,
Yes.
Tayu,
Yes.
Veronica,
Aye.
Ziana, Ziana. Is Ziana here?
Mm-mm.
No. I didn't capture that last time. Okay. Okay, all good.
Great. So as I open, I want to just do a quick reflection about some struggle I've been having with the land acknowledgements, and feeling as though it is very superficial and very performative to simply do a land acknowledgement. And so I spent some time really reflecting in terms of my own facilitation, this particular group and other things that I'm facilitating, and spoke to a few friends and colleagues, and feel like in the future, I would like to hold a deeper acknowledgement of our Indigenous community here. And so I just want to name that before we start this. We are on Coast Miwok land here, out in, you're close to West Marin. But also our Indigenous communities are calling on us to take action as well. They're calling on us not only to recognize the land that we inhabit today, but they're calling on us to act on their behalf. And so I just want to offer a moment of recognition for that request, And they're also calling on us to lift up Indigenous voices in our own work and in our own thoughts about how we move forward. So in the future, I would like to, offer just a short excerpt using Indigenous voices rather than my own, as we recognize those communities here among us and the land that we are living on. So I just wanted to do a quick check-in with everybody as we move on, that works for this group. And just a thumbs up. I think it's really important as a facilitator. Part of my role is to be, as a racial justice committee, part of my role is ensuring that the racial equity component of our work here together is held with kind of the utmost integrity. And so that's really kind of my approach to our time together, but also to any land acknowledgements. And that we're also lifting up our BIPOC voices, both locally and nationally in our own work here in Fairfax, just in terms of my intentions as a facilitator. And if you could share our slides, and if you can just go to slide 3, please, the purpose of ResJ. And then while she's getting that up, if I can have a volunteer when it comes on screen to read. So you'll go backwards. One more. We're going to skip that one. Slide 3. Perfect. All right. I can't see you all, so you'll have to unmute yourself and shout out. If I could have a volunteer to read this.
Happy to. Veronica here.
Oh, wonderful.
The purpose of the ResJ. The Racial Equity and Social Justice Committee will be advisory to the Town Council of Fairfax, California. The committee will focus on actively dismantling and eradicating systemic and individual racism, bigotry, and discrimination within our town, in an effort to create a Fairfax that is explicitly anti-racist, equitable, and inclusive in both word and deed.
Thank you. So as we move throughout our agenda tonight, I want us all I will hold that in my heart and mind as a facilitator, and then I also ask all of you to hold that in your heart and mind as we work together through this evening. And if you could go to skip the next slide and go to slide 5, please. Thank you. So just a reminder, last time we agreed to hold these norms temporarily. We will be having time at our retreat on Sunday morning to create and co-construct community agreements. But I want to ask everybody tonight, can we hold these norms temporarily for this evening? And if you can give me a thumbs up, I'll scroll through so I can see everyone. I'll just hold it up there for just a minute. All right, I got everybody. Any questions about the norms or reminders? All right, next slide, please. So if we can have a note taker for the evening. Anne, are you taking notes for us tonight?
Me.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
I can take notes. I'm just not sure if, in what form you want them and how, like, if you want someone from the team to actually be part of that as an assignment. I'm not sure.
It's up to the team. However they want to be captured is fine.
Sorry, Lisa, how detailed do you want these notes? I mean, generally we do action minutes, but this is
They're
something
action
different.
minutes. Yeah, they're not comprehensive minutes, just action minutes. I just wanted to name that as a role so we make sure somebody's taking them.
Okay. I could take the action minutes as long as it's action minutes.
Yes.
Okay. If it's detailed what everybody said, I probably would have, I wouldn't be able to do that very well.
No verbatim, no verbatim. We're good. And then do we have a volunteer? I will be both the facilitator and the timekeeper as we work through the agenda tonight. Do we have volunteer for process observer? And then you'll have to unmute yourself because I can't get you all on my screen together.
What is the process observer?
So a process observer for our purposes tonight, we'll go over this more in depth this weekend, but for tonight, a process observer is just observing our team process, ensuring that we're holding norms throughout our committee meeting. And if there is an opportunity during the meeting to remind any of us of those norms, then a process observer would gently, thoughtfully do that. And at the end of the evening, you will reflect on our committee's ability to hold those norms. Similar to what Veronica did last meeting. Any volunteers?
If you can show the norms again, I would be happy to be the process observer this evening.
Wonderful, thank you. Can we go back up a few slides to the norms for a minute, please? There we go.
Got it.
Okay, thank you so much. And we can take off the slide share now. Thank you. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna move into the overview of the Brown Act, and I'm gonna hand it off to Garrett.
Sorry. Sorry about that. As usual, I was getting something to drink as you were doing this, just like last time. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Brown Act really quick. The Brown Act pretty much is the state law that governs public meetings. And so this committee, the council has decided, is subject to the Brown Act, which means all your meetings have to be in public. What that means is we have to post an agenda, we take minutes, and you allow the public to comment on your items. So tonight's meeting is called a special meeting. Special meetings require 24-hour notice for the meeting, but tonight you're going to take action on some items, and one of the items is setting a regular meeting. So the difference is the regular meeting, that takes 72-hour notice, but one of the big differences of a regular meeting on your agenda, you're going to have something that's called open time for items not on the agenda. So the public's actually allowed to talk to you about, give you comments on anything that's not on the agenda under that item. So that's just called open time for public expression or open time for items not on the agenda. So that's probably the posting, and the posting in that is really a primary difference between a special and regular meeting. Some of the other things you'll find as you go through is we have to do roll call votes. If we're meeting in person, you could just do the ayes and nays and not have to do roll call, but because it's virtual, Brown Act does require us to do a roll call vote for any action item. We do action minutes, we just talked about that. Now, the main thing for the Brown Act is who can you talk to outside of the meeting? So you have a quorum, there's 13 of you, 2 members, but the quorum is based on 13. So 7's a quorum. What that means is that you individually could talk to 5 other board members for a total of 6 outside of the meeting, outside of the publicly noticed meeting. The tricky thing about that is that of those 6, you can't talk to somebody else on the board to make it 7. So in other words, you can't have a serial meeting, which is like, you know, I talk to, say, Lisa talks to Veronica talks to Patrice, you keep on going, all of a sudden you have 7 people, you talked about things, that's a serial meeting, that's a violation of Brown Act. You have to talk about it all in these meetings. And so what that means, that's why we don't want you to send emails to everyone if there's like a subject you want to talk about the agenda, or you want to talk to everybody about something. What we suggest is you send that email either to Stephanie, Bruce, or Anne, or Lisa, and then they could figure out how to incorporate it into the agenda or get back to you and follow up. So if you have questions, they'll get back to you. You may find that we may send you just some informational items. We'll tell you not to reply all, probably be a blind copy, so that there's not something where you reply to everybody can see what everybody's thinking, and that would be a violation of the Brown Act. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. Can't talk to more than 5 of your other members, either by email, text, or over the phone. Just gotta be careful about that. Send your question stuff to Stephanie, Bruce, Lisa, or Ann. And I think just the last thing quick on this, and it's not the Brown Act, but it's the other thing somewhat tied to it is Public Records Act. So because you're on a public body, your emails are subject to the Public Records Act. But those emails are ones all related to just your Res J business. So that's just something to keep in mind. If someone ever made a public records request, we would have to get back to you and ask you to look through your emails and print them out as it relates to that public records. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. Any questions? Veronica.
Thanks, Garrett. Just to be sure that I understood the difference between a regular and a special meeting is that in a special meeting, there is no open comment period. I know there's a couple of other differences.
Yeah, the main thing is no open time on items not on the agenda. The public's allowed to comment on every item, but they can't. I don't know if you know, in council meetings, people can go up in open time and they can talk about anything not on the agenda. So that's open time for public expression, which is different from public comment on regular items.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Looks like you're all experts. Carry on.
So just quickly, I just want to make sure there's no questions about the serial meeting part. Everybody's good about that, because sometimes it can be really easy in the excitement of a topic. Okay, perfect. So we're going to move on to item C now, the policing subcommittee formation. And last time you spoke a bit about this. So tonight we're going to have an opportunity for comments, and then the public comment, and then you will be taking action on the formation of the committee and the members of the committee tonight. And council people, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just
So,
making sure I got it right.
yeah, so I think we should reconfirm, I guess by show of hands, who wants to be, how we want to form this committee. And Ziana is not here. So I think we have to assume she's still interested. Veronica, have you talked to her recently? Or Sophia, were you going to say something?
You want me to text her? I have her number.
Sure.
You can't.
No? Sorry.
No, I mean, my understanding is that she needs to be present within a roll call if she's going to vote or give an opinion about the topic.
Okay.
So
Is that correct, Garrett?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to form your committee, which it sounds like, and she wants to be on it, when you make your motion, you would just include her in the 6. Then that's what you would vote on, those 6 people being part of the PD subcommittee. She doesn't need to be here to vote.
And there wouldn't be any problem with texting her and asking her if she's still interested in being on the committee, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine. You could ask her.
Yeah, so
I mean, either that, she'd be on the committee, but then she wouldn't, I don't know.
that's right. One way or the other.
I mean, like, her not being here, she just doesn't get to vote.
Right, she just doesn't get a vote.
But the rest of us are voting.
Yes, the rest of you need to vote.
I just wanted to clarify she wasn't voting remotely.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
no, I wasn't suggesting that. No, I was not suggesting
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Amal.
Can you just tell a little bit more about the policing community besides the obvious aspects of it? About the committee?
So
Which
last
is great.
time, so as part of, I'll say a little something in relation to the last meeting, and then Stephanie and Bruce, who were there for the entirety of the town council's, it's in some of the town council notes about the purpose of the policing potential work around police. At the first Res J, our last meeting, you all had a conversation that you did want to form a policing subcommittee. There was brief discussion, but we did not move to action. So several people volunteered to be on it. And so tonight we're going to have a short discussion, public comment on the subcommittee formation, and then a formal vote to move it forward.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, in terms of time, like how much time in addition to this it will take for, some of us that have like a lot of things going on, and just because I'm sure we're all very interested, but we have to, moderate how much we can commit to. So I'm just curious just to find out a little bit more information.
It would be determined by this once the committee's formed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
By the members of the committee, the frequency with which you'd want to meet, and the content and the purpose.
Okay, I see.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't want to, all of the scope of the subcommittee right now and the resolution, which describes a little bit about the committee, it's all on the website right now. And I'm happy to take a moment and describe that. But I'm a little uncomfortable going beyond that because it's really up to the subcommittee, right? To further define
I would think so.
the work.
I would make a note just in terms of participation that the more often you can have regular meetings with the same people who do not miss the meeting, the more effective your subcommittee work is going to be. And so I think it's important, as you all make commitments, there'll be likely several committees that come out of this larger ResJ committee. And so it's something to think about. It makes progress on the issues very challenging if there isn't regular attendance. It's just worth thinking about as you commit. Garrett.
So I think the council also wanted this committee to be open to the public. That's
There needs to be, I feel very strongly about that. There needs to be transparency for sure.
so, that just means, it'll be like this and we'll have agendas and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Garrett.
Other questions? Veronica, yeah.
I just wanted to chime in to say that Ziana mentioned that she unfortunately works on Thursday evenings and is not able to be attending the meeting based on the time that we've chosen, and is also going to college, she decided in January, so she's not going to be able to participate as she intended. So as we form the subcommittee, I know that she may be made the 7th or the 6th person, but that would mean that we don't have that need to vote necessarily. So just wanted to share that information, and she'll reach out to, I think, folks herself as well.
Okay, thank you. So the understanding of the vote is the formation and just agreeing that everybody who raised their hand last time to be a member wants to be a member, and then you'll take action on that and move forward. So it's just a formal way to have a public agreement about who's going to be on it and the fact that, yes, you want to move forward. So there still needs to be an action so that the committee can approve it.
Are we ready to do that? I'm ready to do that.
So maybe a suggestion is, it sounds like you're ready to take some action, maybe just see if there's any public comment, and then you could take a motion in a second and point people to the police subcommittee.
So we need to get, I'd like to get clarity on who, before we take public comment, clarity on who are the final volunteers for that subcommittee. I think that's important because we've had some folks drop out. So I see Bruce.
Hold your hands up. Give me a sec here.
Keep your hands up, Veronica, Alexandra, and Patrice. So I'm counting 4.
No, and Daria.
And Daria. Thank you. 1, 2. Okay, so I have 5.
5. So Bruce, Patricia, Alexandra, Veronica, Daria. Did I miss anyone? No, we're good. Okay.
No, except Garrett, my name is actually Patrice.
Oh, sorry. It's Patrice.
Thank you.
You know what? Sorry. I don't know why. Sorry, my bad. I wrote it down completely wrong. Sorry.
Okay, great, thank you. Anne, can you open it to public comment now, please?
Yes, I don't see anyone's raised hand. Okay, now I do. So I'm gonna let Dee Lee allowed to talk. Go ahead, Dee.
Hello, Dee Lee Benson, Cascade Drive, Fairfax. I'm curious as to the intent of this subcommittee in terms of policing. What kind of role does it intend to play? It's a very small voice in the scope of the whole town. And I would hope that it's giving an opinion and that the rest of the town, the majority of the town, has equal place in giving opinion and direction to whatever policing you are intending to affect. So I'd like to know the answer to that. Also, just since I have a moment, as a curiosity, I'm seeing parentheses definitions of she, her, hers, and she, her, and I'm not sure what that means. If it's gender identification, I think it would be great if everybody had it, so we're all like democratic. But really, with the policing, what is the intent of this subcommittee specifically? And that's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have other folks for public comment, Anne?
Oh, I see. Joe, go ahead.
And how many, just, sorry, one moment, please. How many folks are in line for public comment?
That's it. After Joe, I don't see any raised hands.
Okay, can you keep I'm assuming we're doing a 2-minute public comment? Since there aren't too many people?
Sure. Do you like us to time it?
Yeah, if you could time it, please.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, that should have happened before the last speaker. My apologies.
You ready?
Yes.
Ready, yes.
All right. Hi, it's Joe McGarry. Yeah, I just wanted to say it's great to see this formation of this committee and subcommittee and how important it is since you all last met. Police in the United States have shot and killed 65 people. 18 of them were Black, 19 were white, and 18 were Latinx. They still have yet to identify 8 of those people, and 12 of them are designated as unknown race. So it's a critical step that the town is taking. And just something that Amal said at the last gathering really resonated with me, that working towards diversity without taking care of anti-racism is setting up harm. And I feel strongly in the same way about police, that if something, when you look around the country where all these happen, they're in areas where there is more diverse populations, and there seems to be a tipping point where police react in a certain way in use of force. And as we work towards diversity, if we're not looking at policing, we could be setting a lot of folks up for harm. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it. I don't see any other hands. So
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. No other hands?
no other hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. That closes public comment for this agenda item. And then they can be removed as from our, yeah, thank you. All right. We're ready, I believe, for a motion if people would like to make a motion. Cannot be me.
I'll move that we establish the subcommittee, the police subcommittee on the Res J Commission.
I second that motion.
Anne, we have a roll call, please?
Okay, and so I'll be doing roll call. Okay, Alexandra, sorry.
Yes.
Amal. Amal? Yes. Okay.
In my voice, sorry. Yes.
It's easier. Yeah, thanks. Daria? Yes.
Aye.
Griselda?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
Lisa?
Aye.
Patrice?
Aye.
Serena?
Yes.
Sophia?
Aye.
Tayu?
Aye.
Veronica?
Yes.
And Ziana, and she is not here though. Bruce?
Yes.
And Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, moving on to item D. Oh, did I see a hand?
I was just wondering if you wanted to respond to that question around she, her, or do we wait to answer or respond to those questions next meeting?
Generally in a different format of a meeting, you wouldn't respond to every public comment. This is a committee meeting, so some of the same formalities don't apply. I'm happy to respond if you feel like that's helpful and if that's okay with our chair people. Yes.
I'm not sure how the process works, but it would be helpful if you could confirm who's on the committee, if that's what we just
I was going to suggest that just to make sure that we're clear for the minutes as to who was on that.
Oh,
committee.
you mean the 5? Oh, okay.
So I have, go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, okay. It's Daria, Veronica, Alexandra, Patrice, and Bruce. So 5.
Okay. All right.
So for me personally, as a facilitator, one, I take a stance of humility. I'm always in a space of learning as well when it comes to equity work. So even though I do consider myself an expert, I'm also a constant learner in this process. So I encourage everyone to lean in and learn more about gender pronouns. I will not do them justice in this quick comment that I'm about to make. So it would not be appropriate to ask people to put them in if that isn't what they feel like they want to do. So in terms of having the same kind of gender pronouns with our names on this screen, as a facilitator, I would not ask people to do that because it's a very personal choice. I am a cisgendered woman, and so my gender pronouns are she, her, hers, and I choose to use gender pronouns as a facilitator, as of, when I'm in on my own teams as a team member, because I stand in solidarity and in recognition of our LGBTQIA community and transgender people, other folks who may choose to use other gender pronouns or no gender pronouns as well. And so for me personally, it's a way for me to demonstrate that I recognize that is an issue, how we gender ourselves and the pronouns that mainstream folks choose to use. And I want to stand in solidarity and recognition of that. All right. Other questions before we move on to item D? All right. So this is an extension. This will be the bulk of our time tonight. So I tried to do a very transparent and creative process, but there's some different sort of facilitator windows when you're a panelist. So tonight I was hoping we could all jump on Jamboard. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, it is part of the Google Suite, and it is just simply a virtual whiteboard. And the particular Jamboard we were going to use tonight has Post-its. They're virtual Post-its so that we as a team can work more efficiently. It's quite cumbersome if you're doing it on paper in front of you and there's not a visual way to represent it. And also it offers the public that public opportunity to have our work transparent to the public. So I'm curious, as a panelist, can I drop a link into a chat, Garrett or Anne, that our team members can open? I did send an email that they can be given so everybody could open a Jamboard. And it might take us just a minute or two to see if everybody can get it open. And if we can't all open it, then we'll need to just go to pencil and paper tonight because I don't want to leave anybody out.
Well, we didn't, sorry, I didn't, our default is we don't set up chat.
Okay.
So I'd have to go back in somehow and figure out if I could put chat into this current live session without losing it.
Okay, so
Is
let's
the link
not.
long and difficult to type? Could you just show it on the screen and we could type it into our browser?
Yeah, I didn't do a tiny URL, so it would take a minute. I did send an email to Garrett and Anne if it could be shared with ResJ. So I think the question is, in the interest of our time and the public's time, does everybody right now on our committee have access to email? And if you can just do a thumbs up. Okay, so Patrice, no access to email.
I'm having problems with my Gmail, so I'm afraid that if I click on a link, I might lose the meeting.
Okay.
So, can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
For Patrice? So is she the only one? She could see the Jamboard though, right? Because it would be viewable, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So she could like vocalize a suggestion and like, because that's what we did on some of our, right? I mean,
yeah,
because I've worked in teams on Jamboard and not all of us are doing the sticky note, just like there's one note taker, right?
Serena.
Yeah, I was wondering if like I have access to my email, but I was kind of wondering if that kind of like it could be screen shared and we could kind of comment on it, because then if it's screen shared, everyone can see it. But also I broke my dominant hand, so I'm like really slow at typing.
Oh no. Okay.
So
so it would need to be screen shared so the public can see. And if the majority can open their email and access Jamboard, it is a great way and it will be much more efficient for us to go through a brainstorm process. So Patrice, are you okay? I don't want to move forward if you aren't okay with us typing for you.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Okay. Just in the interest of equal access here, equal meaning same for everybody.
So,
not
right. So Lisa, am I sending the link to everybody or are you sending the link to everybody?
So if you or Anne could send the link.
Okay. All right. So it's going to take me a sec and then we could always share screen.
I have some work for them while you're sending the link.
Okay, great. I'll work on that.
And Anne, did I hear your voice?
I think I have it. Hold on.
And Serena, if you don't want to type, you can call out what you want to say too.
So Anne.
Yeah, just in the interest of me being really slow at typing, that's probably best.
So Anne, on the PowerPoint, on slide number, hold on, let me get my slide number up here. Get slide, second. 9. You'll click on the link.
Okay, is everyone seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're seeing the slide that says Team Brainstorm. When you click on that link, it should open up a Jamboard. Double click.
Am I double clicking something?
Yes, double click that link.
So
Is
I'm
it not working?
Can you see it? I'm in there, but
I think you have to share
You'll
your
need
screen
to
again.
share you'll need to share the Jamboard screen now.
it says sharing.
I think I can get it, Anne. Anne, hang on a sec. Let's
Okay.
see what happens.
Just for future reference, when you select a document, then you have to go and select a different document to share something different. It won't automatically show you the document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this what you want? This
Yeah,
right here?
perfect. Perfect.
I'm almost done with the emails. Just give me another minute.
Okay, so while Garrett's doing that, thank you for your patience. I think in the long run, this will be value add. So I appreciate everybody's patience. So we have just about 35 minutes for this part. And the goal is that we are able to arrive at least at initial focus areas for your work. And so going through a brainstorm like this is a way to distill many, many ideas down into a few. It does not mean that other areas will not be included at some point. It doesn't mean that you can't add them later. This is just an initial attempt to narrow down some of your first priority focus areas. So last time when we all met, you did just a general brainstorm of what are the most important focus areas for you as a ResJ committee member in terms of the racial equity work in Fairfax. And then we asked you to share kind of your top 3 priority focus areas. So most folks probably have been thinking about them and have some work on their mind. Hopefully you were able to hear from your colleagues, and I think very clear themes and patterns emerged from that. So tonight, before you jump on Jamboard, if you can just quietly for a minute, think through, we cannot do it all starting off. And so if you're going to choose some first areas of work as a ResJ committee member, what are they? And then we're going to, once you guys get your links up, I can't see the Post-its here. So I think that there's a view, it shouldn't be view only. Let me see if I can change that real quick. Okay, so Garrett, you'll have to change, it shouldn't be view only.
Okay. I'm trying to.
See if that.
I sent the email to everyone. Hopefully they got it. And now I'm trying to.
I haven't
Did some-
gotten an email.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Just came in.
I just sent it, but just wait. Let me know if you didn't receive it, because there's so many names. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone.
And
Okay.
then Garrett, if you could refresh the Jamboard and make
Okay.
sure everybody is an editor.
Okay. Let me go back to it.
And thank you everyone for your patience. We'll be using this in future meetings. So the time we take now will pay off later. So thank you very much.
Okay. What am I supposed to do, Lisa? I'm sorry.
If you'll just refresh the Jamboard
Okay.
so that the Post-it should open up for you on the left-hand side of the Jamboard.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I'll share that.
Perfect.
Okay. That work?
Woo, it works. Who wrote that? Okay, so we're gonna take, I'm gonna put on a timer, and if somebody could partner with Patrice, just verbally to capture her thoughts and ideas, you are going to take about 3 minutes and capture what your priority areas are. And so if you have not used a Jamboard before, I'm going to show you on the, can you see my cursor moving? Can someone verbalize it? Because I'm off screen now. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. Was that Tayu? Thank
Yeah.
you. All right.
I can't see it either, Amal.
Are you talking about not on the share, but when we switch our screens and are looking at it, right? I don't see your cursor moving when I'm looking at.
No, on the Zoom.
Oh, on the Zoom.
On the Zoom, I'm going to give you a quick Jamboard.
Zoom, yeah.
Okay. So this is a pen, and if you want to connect ideas, you can draw links, circles to your ideas together. This is an eraser if you'd like to erase your work. This is how you choose a Post-it. So you click this little Post-it icon. You can choose whatever your favorite color is. And then you'll just type in your thought, your focus area. So if my focus area is policing, then I'm going to type that in. I could write a sentence. I'm going to click save. And as soon as I click save, it pops up onto the screen. Since you don't want my ideas there as a facilitator, I'm going to click the dots, these 3 dots in the top right, and you'll have some choices here. I'm going to choose to delete it. I'm not going to worry about this one. That's an image. We don't need to drop images tonight. Probably not going to draw a circle. If you do want an option of a text box, you can choose that, and the cursor will blink and you can start typing in. If you choose a text box, it's much harder to move around, so I wouldn't recommend that for our work tonight. That's the 2-second Jamboard, and it's kind of best just play around with it and try it, and feel free to ask questions as you use it, and I'm here to support you as you use it. So any questions before we officially start the brainstorm? Amal?
In terms of topics, are you talking about, so how do we work on something in terms of like Fairfax's place in Marin County? So if we're caring about realizing and understanding Marin County as the primary segregated county of California, can we talk about our work in relation to our county and to like, or do you want it just to be Fairfax specific?
So the idea, I can't tell you what's best for you as a committee member. What the idea is that we're capturing every committee member's focus area. I put 5, just we have to have a way to consolidate your priorities. So if of your top 5, working with the broader Marin community is one of your top 5 priorities, then you're going to write that on a separate Post-it.
Okay.
And it's best to write each focus area on a separate Post-it so that we can move them around and group them. You guys will be doing that as a team. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other questions before we start?
We
I have a
3
quick
minutes.
question.
Daria?
Yeah, so I see here, if I click on the sticky note, I write on the sticky note, and then if I push save, does it automatically go to the board?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it Jamboard chooses where it goes. So what you'll do is when you save it, it goes on the board. And then, is this Garrett?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, great. I love having a
messing around.
driver. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I'm usually like trying to be an octopus here and do it all. So you can click on it and then move your Post-it. So if you've ever been in a, when we're in person meeting that feels like it was so long ago, and you move Post-its on chart paper, it's kind of a similar notion. And then whoever wrote the green one, you might want to separate your ideas onto 5 separate Post-its so that they can be grouped later.
Oops. So.
And then I'm going to go ahead and why don't I set the clock for 5 minutes for this part?
I have one more quick question.
Yeah.
So how do I initiate a new Post-it?
So you click on the post it again.
The same one?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll write. So if you have 5 different ideas, everybody should end up with 5 different post-its.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing where to do that. Let's see.
You click on over there on the left, the post icon on the left. That's what creates the post-it.
Sticky note. There it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to activate my sticky note button, so I'll need verbal help here.
What do
Okay,
you
why
want? What do you want?
Why don't I write for you, Patrice, since so everyone else can put their ideas up?
Sure. Should I just tell you?
Yeah, just do it one at a time, and then you'll see your note go up.
Okay, my first one is religious inclusion and acceptance.
Okay.
My second is policing.
Oops. Oh, that one disappeared. Oops. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
My third is educational opportunities and initiatives.
I'm going to test my spelling here in front of all of Fairfax. Okay.
Do we need to have 5? Can we have less than 5?
Absolutely.
Okay, those are my 3. And then I guess just increasing diversity via affordable housing.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right.
Thank
And
you.
if you have your last one, feel free to let me know. So I'm going to just go ahead and start getting some of these off each other. So if you're finished, while everybody else adds theirs, you can start what we're going, just a little foreshadowing to the next part. We're going to take these and group them by idea and content area to see where we have some commonalities and similarities, with the goal, and we might have to do that a couple times, with the goal being by the end, everybody can come to agreement where the focus areas will be for this first round of work. It's not the end all be all. It doesn't mean you can never choose anything else. It's just a way to get everybody started so that you can start if you want to form committees around any of those things. And so that we're clear on the focus areas for the ResJ meetings. So just know that this is only one iteration. And then we have just about 1 more minute on the clock here.
I thought I made sticky notes, but I don't see them anywhere. Did I do something wrong?
If you didn't save it, it might not have gone on the board.
Okay, let me try again.
And I just want to make sure we're not missing any by them being on top of each other. And then feel free to, if you're done, you can feel free to move any around to get them all on the board so we're ready. We may need to. Can help out the facilitator here. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down my visual committee member feed here. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you have all 3 of your ideas on the board? So Veronica, are you there yet? Okay, Amal
Yes.
and Griselda. Great. Daria, Patrice. Lily, you're on there. Lily, you have your ideas up? Great. And Liesel? Okay. Alexandra? Teo? Great. And Stephanie. Okay. Serena? Bruce, can you just give me a verbal yes, you're ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Sophia?
Yes.
Give me a verbal.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So if you can take a look at this, and we're just going to spend a few minutes and discuss the themes that you're seeing. So we'll take a few minutes to read them. I'll put 3 minutes on the timer. So I just want to do transparent facilitation right now. Everybody may not need 3 minutes to read, but I want to make sure that I'm being equitable in how I'm managing the meeting. And so I'm going to give everybody 3 quiet minutes to read, just in honor of all of our different learning styles, making sure that we all have time to just sit and pause and read these. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on our timer. Just take a quiet 3 minutes to read. And I know some of the stickies are on top of each other, so we can kind of uncover an overlap where the content doesn't get lost there.
Lisa, can you extend the Jamboard to the left? It seems like there's room on the screen there, and then you'd have room for the sticky notes to.
Yeah, enlarge the screen maybe.
Or could you put them on the second page?
You can do both. So you can enlarge the screen, and as we start to make some really obvious groupings, what we can do, I'll show you what we'll do in a second. So we can move over to the next screen, but we need to be able to see them all together first. So as we start to pull out themes, there's some very obvious ones, we can move them.
Some of the fonts on the sticky notes are impossible for me to read with my vision. They're just too small, the letters.
Okay, so I thank you for naming that. I don't have a way to expand fonts on a sticky note. Do you have a recommendation for how we can make sure you're able to read every one?
You can go like this. Look at that. Look. You can make it larger.
You can double click on it to enlarge it.
Yeah, see, here you go.
Woo, who did that?
That was me, which I'm not technologically savvy, so that was kind of exciting.
Go, Amal.
I don't know who me is though.
It's Amal, sorry.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Cited them all.
Here you go. Patrice, I'm gonna do the little ones for you.
Is that working for you, Patrice?
Patrice?
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted myself. I have 3 dogs in the house who bark. Yes, that is great.
And then Garrett, I think you can expand your screen more and that also might help.
Lisa, I actually just thought of one other area. I think I had one left.
Okay.
Hmm.
I would
Let me
say-
get there. Hold on, let me get there.
Okay.
Right.
I would say moving away from the word or acronym rather BIPOC to make African Americans and minorities feel more included.
I think I may have inadvertently canceled one sticky note that I was looking at regarding supporting business owners in Fairfax. So whoever wrote that one, can you take a look and see if it's still there? I apologize if I did that.
Was it the one about Black business owners? Because I can still see that.
Oh, good. Yes, I think it was that one.
Lisa,
Yeah,
can I say something really quick?
of course, of course.
I think what Patrice just said is really important. And I've actually been like pondering that. And I spoke to a few activists about that and how they feel about these acronyms, because I think they have their place and importance when we're talking about the broader situation, because it's important to understand that non-white communities have a different experience than white communities. But I think when we start to get to problem solving, naming each individual group and population really acknowledges and recognizes their specific and very unique experience that is vastly different from each other. So like the African American experience, the Indigenous experience, and then the many experiences that bring in people of color. Like these are vastly different experiences with vastly different solutions or work. And I think like if we study semantics, when we have a one word fits all, our mind follows that pathway and we start to think of it as one issue. So I think like taking a moment to hear her say that is very important, and to like digest that this can be like, it's because acronyms are very easy and they make it quick to talk, but they can actually interfere when we're getting to the actual individualized work and making us believe that this is one topic when it's a vastly different experiences. So I just think it was an important comment.
Thank you. So I think as you move forward into your focus areas, that will really be for you all to decide as a team, you know, how you're going to advocate for those kinds of different things in your own community. Just as a foreshadowing, you will have time in your retreat portion as we develop community agreements to really unpack some of those thoughts of your fellow team members so that we can come to some consensus around, you know, how this team wants to, because it's different for every team and it's different for every community. So it'll be coming to some consensus around how this team wants to manage acronyms and naming different communities. But thank you for pausing for recognition for that. Okay, I'm going to do, just in the interest of moving us along in our agenda here, has everybody had a time to read these? Thumbs up. That's just a good visual for me. If I can't hear you, thumbs up. Okay. So Garrett, can you expand your screen at all so that this Jamboard fills the screen?
So I can zoom, you mean like that?
No, I mean, actually up at the top where you can expand your window. Can you expand your window anymore?
No, it looks like this is as large as it get.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check before we move on. So if you can zoom out again so that we can see all the Post-its.
Oops, there you go.
So what I'd like to do before we start moving them around, because that can get a little crazy, and I am going to ask for a driver. So in just a second, you can be thinking about if you're willing to drive our Jamboard, and we can have a couple drivers. But I just want to have an open discussion for a couple minutes, and we're not going to actually discuss our thoughts about the Post-its. I want to be really clear. We'll have tons of time to do that later. Just what are themes that you see when you're reading the Post-its? What are some of the focus area themes that have come up for you as you read through? And you can just unmute yourself. We'll have about, let me just do a time check here.
Public safety and policing.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to have about a little under 5 minutes for this conversation part. So public safety and policing.
Community education.
Affordable housing.
There's a little bit of workforce.
Educating people in the community.
Town policies.
Supporting low-income renters.
Integrating people of color into the community.
Accessibility.
Listening sessions.
Housing. Did somebody say that? Affordable housing, I'm seeing.
Language accessibility or language access.
History. Training and hiring of police.
What are other themes that people know?
Schools, I see public education, schools.
Mhm.
I see equitable opportunities in town policies regarding RFPs, planning, development, hiring.
And I saw a focus area in terms of education. Did anybody see that?
Yes.
Can we clarify, like there's education, like education in the schools, and there's education, like public education around these issues, which is like adults.
Yeah, my personal feeling is it's both. One
Yeah.
without the other isn't, the whole picture.
Right.
I think it's interesting that someone's got coordination with other racial and social justice committees around the county.
Mhm.
And I like that someone included neurodiversity. Thank you.
Included what?
Neurodiversity.
Neurodiversity.
And
That's
outreach
also-
to the community, I think, is a theme. Engagement.
Lisa, can I ask one question?
Of course.
What's coming up for me is I'm wondering how many topics we don't know need to be brought up and put up here. And so that makes me just wonder about getting input from some of the areas like the Canal and Marin City that feel excluded and that know firsthand what Fairfax would need to do to make them feel included. It's coming up to me like, I posted the neurodiversity, and a lot of people don't understand this intersectionality with race and neurodiversity and how dangerous it is. And it makes me wonder how many other things we don't know.
I think
I'm
Yes,
sorry, what is the word? What is the word you just used?
Neurodiversity. So having autism, ADHD,
Okay, okay.
issues of dyslexia, learning differences, all these things. And I've just been doing a lot of research and discovering things that are horrifying. And so it makes me wonder how many things, and maybe we should do something where we reach out and ask people who know what it's like to feel excluded from Fairfax, to feel like they could, like, what other things are we forgetting that, or we are not forgetting, but we have no awareness of, right?
Right.
Do you
I
think that could be,
want
do you think
to-
that could be, I'm sorry, Liesl.
Oh,
I was just going to say, do you think that can be addressed by liaison contact with other committees in other towns? And
I think, go ahead, sorry. Too excited. I think that, people have talked about listening sessions and also talking to our frontline workforce might be very revealing. Two things that I didn't stick up there, but I have heard because I work with a group in the canal is transportation. And a lot of people have told me that they're very frustrated that they have limited access to open space that other people in the county have.
So
yeah,
one of the things we talked about in the first meeting in terms of flow of ResJ, this is just a first step. And you do have some choices. So if you were going to hold, one of the things we heard loud and clear was people there are some areas people feel are important and you're actually ready to get to work and you want to form some subcommittees. And so really, as a facilitator, I'm not making decisions. I'm trying to offer you a process to hold your work. And in the interest of being able to get to work on some of the critical issues that you want to get started on, we have to have a public and a equitable, meaning all voices are heard, process to synthesize where your team wants to go in its focus areas. But it is absolutely not the end of the road. It's only the beginning. And so and I didn't include the slide this time, but you're really in phase 1 of your growth and development as ResJ. So we're only tackling like the top most important right now, but one of the things you all have mentioned is that you want to do listening sessions. You want to collect data. You want to hear from other voices that you may not have heard of, to your point, Amal. And so that's one of the things, once we decide on the starting focus areas, then the next step is really, okay, what else do you want to consider? And what kind of data, part of like governmental planning, and any action orientation around equity work is really understanding the data and the evidence to move your work forward. So some of that will happen in subcommittees. So let's just say you have an education subcommittee, that subcommittee is going to take on the work of education. They're going to decide if you choose to do a subcommittee. I'm only giving an example, not advice. Then they're going to take on the work of education. That subcommittee is going to look at what are their goals, what are your objectives, what other data might you need, what are your outcomes, and you'd start working on that. If you feel after we go through this process, once you get started in this only the first phase, that there are other areas coming up, then we talk about that as a committee, and you all can take action on where you want to go with other areas. But if as a facilitator, I brought all of it in, you wouldn't actually accomplish any goals at the start of your committee process, and it tends to lead to some chaos. So not to the exclusion of anything, it's just a starting place. All right. So is everybody okay to move on to grouping? I just want to be mindful of our agenda timeline. All right, so can I have some drivers? I just want to call on 3 people that are going to help us move some Post-its around. Okay, Liesl. I saw one hand, and Serena, and Veronica. All right. So the way this will work on a Jamboard, normally everybody would be touching Post-its together, but that's not reasonable on a Jamboard. So you're just going to engage in dialogue together. We have 3 drivers, and they're going to help sort our Post-its into groupings. What's going to start to happen is you're going to see some overlapping Post-its. And for the purposes of this activity, it's okay. What I will do once we're done, we're gonna close this. It will be view only in terms of Brown Act. We can't actually do anything else with it after the meeting. But what I will do as facilitator is take all of the Post-it information and create a synthesized document. So if you see your Post-it get subsumed partially under another one, do not panic. Your idea will not be lost. Okay, it's just a logistical thing. You cannot move Post-its from a Jamboard screen to another one. All you can do is duplicate the screen, and then we wouldn't have the visual for the public to see what's happening, which is why in just facilitation transparency, I'm keeping you on the same board. All right, so drivers ready? I don't know if they say it at NASCAR, if anybody ever goes to those. I fell asleep at the last one I went to, so. So why don't we go ahead, and I'm just gonna start us off here. Let's start with the grouping up here in the left top corner. There's a racial equity grouping. Why don't we start with that one? And then we'll call out groupings and drivers. You can start moving Post-its as people name different things. So I'll give you, I'm going to give you an example. So I see that we have housing right here. And then I also see that inclusionary zoning ordinance. And so I'm going to just kind of start to make some space and put some different things together here, and we'll uncover the other ones. Does that make sense? Drivers?
I have a driver question.
Yeah.
I seem to have clicked on the pen, and so instead of moving things, I'm driving things, and I don't know how to get back just the little cursor so I can move things.
Oh, unclick the pen.
Okay, sec.
And I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm just choosing, do we each have a specific theme that we're working with?
So you're going to listen to your committee members, and then you're going to start to move the Post-its.
Yeah, I can't unclick it. It just keeps giving me options of different pen sizes, but I'm not sure. Oh, I see. I can go back to this pointer. Never mind. Thank you.
Yeah. You see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So folks can start calling things out. So over here, I see affordable housing on the left side.
Okay.
There's a housing theme.
As a driver, can I group it myself if I see something, or should I just wait until someone calls it out?
Yeah, for efficiency's sake, yes, please do. You can also add a text box. If we get a housing theme, you can add a text box, but I don't want to do it for you. I want this to be a committee represented naming of your focus areas. That's why I'm not doing it for you. And so feel free to talk as you're doing this.
Should we include striking the redlining verbiage with affordable housing and supporting low-income renters?
I can say that's all housing.
All housing, yeah.
I think that would maybe be more of a town thing though, in terms of like there's
Policy, right? I was
Policy.
thinking,
Policy category.
is there a policy category, folks?
There is kind of a policy category about what the town can do, although there's a big overlap with all the other items.
Mhm.
So can I ask a question? Can these groupings be put on different pages instead of all still on the same page? Because it's you can't see.
So in the beginning, it's much harder. We won't all be able to see the same page if they go on to other pages. That's why I'm keeping you here for public transparency. So let me show you, oops. hold on a second. I think
I've never used Jamboard before, but is it possible to create folders so we could have a folder called housing and have all the post-its that relate to housing, for
Here,
instance?
why don't I let me give you an example. I was trying not to, hold on, let me give you an example. This will be helpful. Okay, so I just clicked a text box. Whoops, somebody unclicked it. Hold on. Hold on just a second. And I'm gonna put housing. Wait, okay, wait. Okay, so hold off on the moving for just a second. I'm going to show you what you can do. Whoops. Just a second. Okay. I got that tipped accidentally. So housing. So when you move these, they're going to just overlap slightly. So in housing ordinance, where was your other housing? Oh, housing affordability. Yeah. And you're just going to put them overlapping. And when I take it onto one document, you're going to be able to see what they all are. So right now, just give a little visual and overlap them.
I see support low-income renters. That probably belongs with housing.
Yeah. Okay, just a sec. Where do you see that? Which side of the screen is that at?
The lower left, third from the left.
Okay, looking for.
I'm going to go ahead and help you out with some headings here.
Well, education seems to be a theme.
So I started you off with the education column.
Are there two different categories? I'm trying to think. Is there education and engagement? Is there like, I don't know. Are they two different ones or are they all one?
Sounds like it could be different because engagement is maybe soliciting input.
I would say community education and then also within our education system, right?
Right.
Two separate things.
Yeah.
Right. The engagement could be the community forums, listening sessions.
Yeah.
I've got a policing in the bottom left category.
That's good.
And I think wondering about that town survey, is that whoever wrote that, is that in relationship? I know we've mentioned that in many council meetings around the policing. Is that what the person who wrote it intended it to be speaking about?
I wrote it, but not to limit it to policing.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems to me that that's part of engagement.
I feel like language accessibility on its own is like a whole thing that could go into every single topic we come up with.
It's an umbrella, like an umbrella issue.
Yeah.
You're doing text boxes?
I started some text boxes so you could make columns.
Can I make another one? Is this illegal as a driver? Am I overstepping my driver?
We're going to ticket you, Veronica.
No, I'm trying to help you out, make it easy.
Okay, I just moved all the policing into the lower left corner. So if you want to grab all those
exactly.
Okay, good. Awesome.
All right. So we have we have about 3 more minutes for this.
Where's engagement? Is engagement there?
And then if someone can add text box for the focus areas. I don't want to write your focus areas, but we'll get as far as we can get tonight. And then I will take this and create a document that can be viewed publicly. So if you write the focus areas, then I can follow your groupings there. And this is not permanent. So when you see the final document, we can move everything around. This is just a starting place.
I love the ongoing dialogue between police and community. So thank you. And that would be both engagement and police.
The Venn diagrams, I'm sure, could exist.
Yeah.
So many of these you mentioned overlap, and there is a way where you can copy, right? So it's not mutually exclusive.
Mhm.
So when you get, this is just a way to organize right now. When you get your final document, then you can decide, is this an ongoing topic for your committee together? Do you want to form subcommittees? That's what Mill Valley did. And what most, groups that have this large of a task will do. And then you can see items that overlap and they don't need to live in just one place. All right, so I'm seeing town policy, engagement, education, housing, policing, and that actually happens to be 5. Before we close out this agenda item, I just want to take final comments to make sure everybody's voice is heard. There's some people we haven't heard from tonight.
I was just thinking that anti-racism should perhaps be a category because there are a number of things that speak to that.
I was imagining anti-racism fits within engagement and education, like it, or maybe all of the things. I'm wondering what would make it its own category,
I guess I see it as a singularly focused topic. It's one of the main reasons that this committee was formed. And I wouldn't want it to get lost as a subtopic of all these other things when it's actually a topic, personally, a topic of its own. I don't think that our town does a good job of even explaining what anti-racism is, and therefore racism continues. So I don't know how to weave that into other things without making it feel as important.
Can I make an offering just as a facilitator for what it's worth?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way that committees can actually be organized to work together and separate. So and I'm going to use your example, Patrice, if you all decide, again, you deciding, not me, if you all decide that anti-racism is a primary tenet of your work as a committee, then what you can, as a ResJ committee, what you can actually do is say that as a ResJ committee, we find these values to be so important that we're going to ask every single committee to address X values, so that it is a both and solution. It doesn't have to just live in its own category. If you feel as a committee, and we're not going to make a decision tonight, but I just want to offer a way to kind of organize some of these ideas that aren't either or. Anti-racism can live in town policy, workforce, engagement, education, housing, policing, and if you also choose, it could live in its own category. Just as a way to think about this.
Well, it's a foundational principle to everything that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm hoping that, we would write it up at the top, and this would be town policy from the view of anti-racism, workforce economy from the view of anti-racism, engagement from the view. Because I'm hoping that's like the driving force behind why we're looking at all of these topics, right?
Exactly.
And so those are things that once we come back together at the next meeting to look at the focus areas, you can decide if there's common themes you want to hold in each committee, if you even want to make committees in these areas. So I'll take a couple more comments before we move on. Stephanie, I saw your hand.
Yeah, just really quick, Amal's comment on what might we be missing and the comment around neurodiversity. Something that's occurred to me that's not here is just, LGBTQ and, gender diversity and all that, which to your point, Lisa, I don't think we have to call out necessarily, but, I would absolutely think that it should be under education, and, you know, some of these absolutely need to, it needs to be addressed. So I just wanted to say that, because when I think about social justice, there's a lot of work to be done there.
So I took a note for our next agenda here. What we can talk about are cross-cutting themes.
Yeah.
And then you all, because we're not going to decide, and we didn't make time in our agenda to have the conversation tonight.
Yeah.
You all could decide you want to have the conversation now, but that's going to extend your agenda. So my recommendation as facilitator would be to have an opportunity to review this final product. I'll make that for you. And then have a conversation if you want to form any subcommittees from these focus areas. And if you want your subcommittees to have cross-cutting themes, you'll address in every subcommittee.
Lisa, can we name that intersectionality?
Absolutely.
Something.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are we good to move on? All right. So from chaos, you actually have quite a bit of clarity here. And I assure you, you'll be able to figure out all the details in the coming weeks and months. It's just a starting place. But I mean, congratulations, you have some focus areas to get started with. All right, I'm going to move us, with your permission, into item E. Training and our retreat and training planning.
Hello.
So I don't know if Stephanie or Bruce, you want to say anything in regards to the retreat and training planning before I talk just briefly about the agenda. We have about 20 minutes left. We need to preview the training and retreat agenda, take action on a potential mission and vision subcommittee formation, and then any questions and comments. And we have public comment and then closing. So I just want to do a time check so everybody's mindful of their timing right now.
Did you want me to tee up the discussion around mission and vision, or?
Just if you have any, our first one is a preview of the retreat and training agenda. And so just if you wanted to open with any comments before I give some ideas about what's happening.
No, let's just dive right in.
Okay.
Given how much time we have.
Yeah, I was just offering in case. Bruce, do you?
No, that's fine. You'll go over the ideas we've talked about. So yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to put myself on a clock right now. So Stephanie, Bruce, and I met. There was not a lot of input, actually. We did not get too many recommendations for the retreat day prior to the agenda being made. We got a last minute one. And so the first part of the morning will be retreat, and that will be open to the public. And the only thing that we're going to do in the morning is decide on your committee norms. We've left about 2 hours for that. I've known norms to go as quick as an hour and much longer, but we kind of estimated 2 hours, and then we'll make a decision at that time if you want to table the norm conversation or continue it. And then for the training part, that is an opportunity to really kind of dive into what does racial equity even mean? And hearing, I watched all of your interviews, so I have a good sense of facilitator of your backgrounds in relation to this. Certainly, I don't know everything about all of you, but we really tried to take into consideration the depth and breadth of experience here. The idea of our training is that we're all getting on the same page about what does equity mean? What does racial equity mean? What are some of our considerations when we're looking at our own racial identity? So I will be sending something out a little pre-work. I'm going to ask everybody to do some reflection about their own racial autobiography. And that's really about any critical and important work around racial equity really starts with an acknowledgement of ourself and our own identity within an equity space and framework. And so some of our work at the training will actually be around some self-reflection and identity kind of formation in this work. Because that is always coming into play when we're talking about issues, when we're talking about housing and policing. We all have such deep personal experiences around those issues. So it's important to just surface, who are we in the work and what is some of our history around the work. Then we're going to move into, and if you've been doing this a long time, it will be somewhat basic, but in the interest of us all having a common language to do the work in Fairfax and to be in your separate committees with a common language and understanding, we are going to do some work around kind of what are the things we're considering when we're talking about racial equity in governance, looking at systemic oppression, both institutional and interpersonal. We'll be looking at structural racism, although Ibram Kendi is arguing against that notion. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in our training. And then we're going to try out some racial equity tools. So we'll be talking about a framework called Above and Below the Green Line, and we'll be looking at what it means to actually use a racial equity lens in our work with specific questions and specific things to think about. If there's time, we will be having some discussion about high-performing teams and what is required, what is needed, what are some of the critical elements and kind of ebb and flow of a high-performing team. And so the idea is that we're all going to come to the day. Some of us are going to have tons of experience in some of the areas. Some of us won't have any experience. And the idea is that we're all getting on the same page about these critical issues. What often happens if you don't do that work, you're going to get down the road in weeks or months, and conflict and misunderstandings and confusions can arise because people are operating from different places. So if my notion of racial equity is different than Stephanie's, is different than Bruce's, we're really going to have a challenge to move forward as a team around racial equity. So that's the general flow for the day. Patrice.
Lisa, I have a question for you, and my apologies, everyone. My father is an efficiency expert. So this is just something that's been ingrained in me, but I don't understand the need to have values for each committee. Can't we have overarching values that affect all of our work?
I think I need some additional information to answer your question. You mean with the cross-cutting themes?
Yes, it seems like this committee should have its own values, maybe 5, 6 max, and the values should infuse into every area. Those should be our values as a committee, as opposed to having siloed values for each thing. I think that just becomes a little convoluted.
So I think our intention is the same, and we can organize it any way that works for the committee. The idea of cross-cutting themes is very similar to, you could call them cross-cutting themes. You could say cross-cutting values and beliefs that are going to operationalize all of your work. And I can lead you in any of those choices if you feel like you want to have some discussion about the best way to engage in the committee work. So in the interest of time tonight, I'm not sure we need to make a decision about that, but I know exactly your point and what you're saying. And so as a potential option, we could have some conversation about what the committee wants to do. And then depending on your choice, I can lead you in a values alignment. And that can be at a meeting, and we could do a values alignment. And then you know that that values alignment is going to go towards your committee work and everything that you do. If you choose to do cross-cutting themes, I can lead you to a cross-cutting team formation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? Yes, Amal.
I think I missed. What do you mean cross-cutting themes? I thought that things you were talking about were like separate committees, like the policing committee, like on education on this. Like, what? I think I missed something. What was the cross-cutting themes?
I think it's just a matter of language. You could choose different language. Kind of in the past work I've done, that's the language we use.
Oh,
The example was around anti-racism, and Patrice brought up a great point of, well, wait, don't we want this to be in every committee?
yeah.
And so that could be considered a value of the ResJ. That your value is that we are engaging in anti-racist work, and that means something very specific. And you can call it a value, which has a different tenor to it, or you could choose cross-cutting themes, and they tend to be less value oriented when you do cross-cutting teams on a committee or task force. They're less value centered. They can be more operational. And that's for you to decide. That isn't, I can facilitate whatever process you want, but I don't want to make a decision for your team.
Sorry, I just didn't understand. I got it now.
Yeah, no problem at all. That's what the time's for. Veronica.
I just have a general question about the subcommittee that we formed, which is the next steps around that. Should we anticipate an email from you or from Garrett around when we get to have our next meeting or our first meeting, or just curious about the next steps for that?
For the policing? Yeah, you can get started. So we can send out an email if that's helpful. And then you'll decide as a team when to hold your first meeting. And then as a team, you'll decide the work of that meeting. I do believe we have a council member, Bruce, you're on that.
Yes.
So Bruce, do you want to take charge of that?
Yeah. We can get some Google Doc. The
Doodle poll.
Doodle poll going and figure out when we want to meet and start getting it going. Yeah.
And I see Garrett, so I'm guessing you wanted to add something, Garrett?
Yeah, well, staff will help with that. So
okay, great.
Because you're going to need an agenda and whatever else you're going to need.
Perfect.
Plus, you'll need a Zoom call.
Yes. All right. So one of the things that came up, I'm going to hand it off to Stephanie or Bruce to talk a little bit about this next action item. And just as a time check, we're about 10 minutes to 9, and we have public comment, and then we just have closing up our meeting. So we're doing pretty good, but I want us all to be mindful of time as we continue.
Sure. Bruce, do you want me to talk about this, or would you like to?
Go ahead. Yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay, so the mission and vision, this is something that we know we want to develop for the committee. And it's also something that is really, you really need to dedicate and devote a minimum of 3 hours to do a good job of. So when we started planning the agenda for the retreat, we knew we had to do norms and team building and the training and getting us all at what Lisa just described, sort of on the same level, if you will, from a racial equity standpoint, was critical too. So we just didn't seem to have the 3 hour window, if you will, on the retreat agenda. So one idea we came up with was, well, why don't we could create a short-term mission and vision subcommittee, and they could, this small team, if you will, could create a draft, right? And come back to the greater committee to fine tune it for final versioning. So that's the concept. Otherwise, if we don't go down that path, then and if the group decides that we really all want to work on it together, then it would be dedicating a regular meeting like this to developing the mission and vision. So does that make sense? Does anybody have any question about that?
I would add just a quick thing to that. That's also, I mean, that's a great opportunity to talk about values also. And so in some cases, in that process, people actually start with beliefs and values about the work, and then they move into a mission and visioning process. Part of the challenge we had was making sure that we go deep enough that all of this is inclusive of everyone's voice and thorough. But also, if you only have a 2-hour meeting a month, it's really hard to do any of these deeper processes so that you're, you know, in the meeting.
Right.
And then the recommendation that we were considering was to have some discussion, and then public comment, and then action on this.
Right. And I really want to make sure that it, you know, so I think all of us should have opportunity for input on this, right? So the idea would be that the subcommittee would create, like I said, a draft for us to the greater committee to finalize and, you know, provide input to. Daria?
I just want to say I think that's a great idea, and I feel aligned enough with everyone so far that I would have no problem with that. And then we do have our opportunity for input as well. So sounds efficient.
That's what I was thinking. I want to know from our efficiency expert daughter.
Last night I watched the town council meeting, and Bruce made a point that really resonated with me. It's incredibly hard to create one document by committee. So I think that this is the most efficient way to do it, giving the team a way to just react to something that's already been put on paper.
Okay, so we got a pound. We got high five and pound for our efficiency. I love it. You're gonna be my efficiency angel. You can check me.
No problem. No problem.
Oh,
We've tried it all the inefficient ways already.
Yeah, you know, and as a
we did pretty well last night, though. I don't know if you stayed till the end.
Yeah,
I was there until the end.
Oh my God, you're a hero.
Well, no, it's my girlfriend is a planning commissioner, so I watch every meeting.
Oh wow.
Ah, good for you.
All right. So just to check on process here, do you want to have more discussion about this? Do you want to move it to public comment?
move to public comment.
So public comment, thumbs up, just so I can get everyone's voice. Okay. So Anne, do we have anyone for public comment?
Yeah, I don't see any hands here. So I think we're all good.
Okay, public comment is closed. Now, would you like to take action on this item? We'll need a motion.
I motion that we form a subcommittee to establish the short-term mission and vision of the ResJ committee.
I second that motion.
Hey, guess a question. Are you actually assigning people to it?
We need to do that too.
Otherwise, she'd have a committee with no people.
An empty committee.
Which is okay. I like those committees.
It's a ghost. It's a new thing. It's a ghost committee.
Oh, and one other thing, I think for this committee, because it's a single purpose and it'll be short, it doesn't need to be open to the public unless it wants to. Otherwise, it just makes that much more work. So, it's like, you should call it ad hoc committee to form your draft mission and vision statement. And then
Form a draft statement, so, yeah. Yeah, that's the way we do writing on a lot of committees that I'm on. We form a subcommittee to do a draft, and they can just work very efficiently and then come back to the full committee with something.
it's ad hoc, it's not permit standing, so you don't need to make it public unless you want to, but that's just more work and coordination.
So as part of the motion, do we want to include the interested parties?
Okay, wait, we have a process. I have a process challenge. We're right in the middle of a motion. So what I'd like to recommend is that we roll call vote on that motion to form the subcommittee. And then you can have a discussion about who wants to be on it and do a separate action.
How about, can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
Since it hasn't, I don't know if it's been, maybe it was seconded, but perhaps
Yeah.
Veronica would take a friendly amendment to her motion or withdraw the motion to redo it with the actual committee members in it. Just a suggestion.
Call it ad hoc.
I withdraw my motion at this moment until we have the members decided for the ad hoc committee.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, do we have a new motion?
So I guess that means you're looking maybe to just see how many people are interested in the committee, in that subcommittee, is that?
Yes.
No, yeah.
So why don't we do that first? Who would like to be on that subcommittee? I heard a huge sigh, huge sigh. Okay, Veronica? Anyone else?
Zelda, you're so literate.
Amal? Teo? Stephanie, that was her sigh. She was about to raise her hand. So I will comment as a facilitator for equity here is that it needs to be a diverse team. Griselda, was that?
Yes.
Looks good.
Okay.
So that was 5? Is that what you had?
Five. We have Veronica, Amal, Tayu, Stephanie, and Griselda.
Okay. So all you need is a motion for that.
Less than a quorum.
Yes.
I motion.
Can you be more specific?
I motion that we move forward on this selection of a committee. Is that specific?
Ad hoc?
Yeah, ad hoc committee
Ad hoc committee, Stephanie.
for the mission and vision statement.
For the mission and vision statement, Garrett.
Perfect.
I second
I
that.
second your motion, yeah.
Okay, and Anne, yeah.
Yes, so, okay, Alexandra,
Yes.
Amal,
Yes.
Daria,
Aye.
Griselda,
Yes.
Lily,
Aye. Laylee.
oh, Laylee, I'm sorry, thank you. Liesel,
Aye.
Patrice,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Tayu,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Wonderful. You have an ad hoc committee. So I love it that Garrett, I just crack up because he's in the sky and I feel like, you know, this like voice of wisdom is coming down every time he opens his screen to speak. I love it. It's like the Wizard of Oz coming from the sky. All right. We're doing great on time, by the way, tonight. So congratulations, everybody, as it's a team effort. So we do have questions and comments. I think we covered that. Can we move on to item F?
Yes.
Wonderful. So is there any public comment? And is there anyone in?
There isn't. I don't see any raised hands. So no.
Okay, public comment is closed. And we'll move on to item G. So we're going to formally discuss and decide on the regular meeting time. We'll take items for the next agenda and then appreciations, and we'll get you out of here almost on time.
So for a regular meeting, that would mean that it's on a monthly basis at the same time, right? That's Garrett. It wouldn't be a regular meeting if we didn't decide on something that's going to repeat every month.
Yes.
So,
well, you asked Garrett. Sorry, Garrett.
No, your yes was fine. Yes. Right now, this is what, the first Thursday of every month? Is that what the doodle poll said? I think.
Yes.
First Thursday every month, 7 to 9, right? Is that what we said?
And that was from doodle poll consensus. So that was sorry, not consensus. That was the majority of vote on the doodle poll. That's why that time was chosen.
And
there were other.
No one else here is a football fan.
What, Patrice?
No one else here is a football fan. Thursday night football.
All the teams are really bad.
You might have to video that, like tape it or whatever you call it now. That I just told, for all the kids in here, I just completely dated myself.
I haven't heard
like video. What? How old is this facilitator?
I'll just put it on my Betamax machine.
Yes, Veronica.
Is meeting just once a month for 2 hours? And I'm sorry if I'm overextending or suggesting an overextension, but I have this wonder of, is it possible to meet longer or more frequently, or is that just crazy?
Don't forget, we'll have committees that'll be meeting.
Subcommittees.
As well, yeah.
And a retreat this month. But we can choose to have special meetings whenever we want to. So if we were at a regular meeting and we decided to have a mid-month special meeting, we can decide to do that. So we've got plenty of opportunity to meet more if we want to.
Yeah. And 2 hours or 2.5? Will this 7 to 9:30 be the default?
So this is, I think this was actually something that Stephanie and Bruce and I talked about when we created the agenda. You do actually, I think your question is important because the answer is it means what you're going to get done and not get done. So if you have a 2-hour meeting, then whoever comes together, we're a little out of rhythm, but once we get into rhythm, we'll have a lot more input on agendas. You're really creating an agenda, like the work of the agenda, for about 90 minutes, because you're going to have the rest be public comment plus or minus some minutes. So if you have a 2-hour meeting, it's important to just realize the amount of work that's going to get done or not get done. And if you think of tonight, that brainstorm could have gone a lot longer, and it took a while to be very thorough. And so part of a consideration for all of you is depth versus breadth. But when we're talking about racial equity work, the depth and the unpacking and the participation of every voice is so critically important that you're going to limit, the less time you have, you're going to be limiting some of that ability to get the work done. Versus if you have a 2.5, to 9:30, then you're estimating about 2 hours of work with that public comment.
Would it be possible to start from like 6:30 to 9?
6:30 for me personally is hard because I'm often still on work calls.
Oh, okay.
7 is easier to stop.
6:30 is also a bit harder for me because that's like when a lot of my classes are.
Okay. And I'm a big fan till 9:30 to 2.5 rather than 2 hours, personally.
I'm fine with the till 9:30.
I'm fine with till 9:30.
Me too.
Too.
Okay, so we have this as an action item. I'm going to assume there's no public comment for this, but as a process, I should ask. Anne, is there public comment?
No hands. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does someone want to make a motion?
I move that we meet every, which Thursday is this anyway?
First Thursday.
Every first Thursday of the month from 7 to 9:30 as our regular meetings.
I second.
Was there a second?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, great. And a roll call, please.
Yep. Okay. So Alexandra,
Yes.
Amal,
Yes.
Daria,
Aye.
Griselda,
Yes.
Laylee,
Yes.
Liesel,
Yes.
Patrice,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Tayu,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Okay, motion pass. All right, so items, we want to get input on the agendas. And once we have now that we have a regular meeting, we can set up regular times to do a draft agenda. So input on next agenda items for your next meeting.
Will we be able to prioritize the Jamboard issues? Or is that something we're going to do at the retreat? I'm sorry, I forgot.
So what I will do is just simply put them on a common document and organize the board for you if I have your trust and permission to do that. I have to do it off, I can't do it when we're all working on it, or it'll get lost and the public can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, you'll have to make some decisions about your focus areas and what you want to do with those items.
So can we put that on the agenda for our next meeting?
Yeah, we'll take all input now, and then we'll have some folks to plan, and we'll fine tune then. So I'll put that on. And Serena.
Is it possible for us to give our input after the retreat?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you can give it at any time via email. This is just an official public opportunity.
Will we have any formal process for announcing or talking about this subcommittee self-assignments at the next meeting, or is that something we do in the retreat?
It won't happen at the retreat. So if you'd like to have that, it'll be at the next meeting.
You mean subcommittee reports? Is that what you mean?
I think like announcing who's on which committees if we do form those committees.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
An extension of, once we make the decisions from the Jam board, you'll need to decide, is that ResJ work in the meeting, or is that a committee? And then that's the question you're asking, correct, Liesel?
Right, because it seems like you want to report that out to the public and make it sort of official.
Yes.
So can we also put on the agenda the subcommittee report on the policing?
Yes. Any other items for tonight? Okay. So I am a very big fan of ending on appreciations, even at public meetings. So if anybody would like to close out with an appreciation for our work tonight, or for any one person, anything that's coming up for you, and just being mindful of time. So a one sentence appreciation would be great. Bruce.
Well, I'm just very pleased with tonight's meeting. I'm also pleased that I was able to get on and didn't have internet problems. But it's just as I'm so happy to see that we're all coming together. We all are, it's feeling like we're really finding each other and getting to know each other. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Daria.
I want to appreciate that we are enjoying a sense of humor. I think it's a vital value in this process. And we'll be talking about some difficult things. So I'm pleased that we're able to laugh and enjoy each other's company as well during this process.
Joy, humor, and fun are some of my values as a facilitator. So other appreciations.
I just appreciate everyone for considering this topic important enough to take time out of their own lives to dedicate it.
I had a moment of awe when I saw that Jamboard, you know, it's happening, you know. I'm really, I too really enjoyed this evening, and I'm just really grateful to be part of this group.
I'm grateful for the folks who are listening in. I tuned over to just see folks that aren't necessarily on the committee, but that were still listening, and just feel grateful for all of you taking the time to listen to this and call in.
Well, I'm going to add another appreciation, and if nobody's going to jump in, I want to give high praise to Lisa. I think the town did a fantastic job in choosing a facilitator, and we could not be more lucky. I'm so appreciative.
I'm appreciative that our town thought it was worthwhile to put the money and time into doing this in the first place, because it just seems so important and so exciting.
Thank you very much. That's a very huge honor for me. So thank you. Anyone else? All right. I have to say, I pinched myself tonight because it's still, even after the last one, I was like, is this really happening? But now we're on our second one. So it's such a thing. It's like, it's an actual thing happening. So I pinched myself, and I think I share all of your excitement about this work, and I'm so grateful for all of you. And a special thanks to the Town of Fairfax staff. We could not have done it without you. So I have an appreciation for both of you.
Sure.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey, Lisa, process observer?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you. See, coming down from the sky. Absolutely. I
It's all
love
those
it.
notes, all those notes.
I know. Thank you, Garrett. Yes, we do have a process observer. Thank you so much.
I believe I'm the process observer.
You are, Patrice.
I feel like we followed the process.
Would you like to say one highlight of the process we followed from our temporary norms?
Yes, I would say that I appreciated everyone's humility, and I appreciated everyone's active listening and coordination and collaboration with each other.
Right. Thank you so much. Thanks for that, Garrett. I love how I forgot the process of the process observer. All right. I think that's a wrap. Did I forget anything else?
Good night, all.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Garrett. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
Good night.